Hello, welcome to the South African Medico Legal Reports Expert Witness Guide training video presentation. This video really introduces the intermediate level training course, and in particular I'm very pleased to show that the intermediate level training manual is now available. It's a beautiful manual. We're very pleased with the way that it's come out, and this is the most comprehensive training for expert witnesses available ever in South Africa. It goes all the way through, right from the foundation stages, all the way through an intermediate level stage. It will equip either the expert witness or the legal representative with a powerful amount of information to understand what it is that they're doing when they're dealing with evidence, when they're preparing for court, and when they're presenting in court. So we're going to start with the front page of the South African Medico Legal Reports Expert Witness Training Manual. And then we're going to have a look just at some of my details. I'm the author of this document. I'm also the main presenter of the course, but we will be joined by guest presenters, guest speakers throughout the course, and we will be making announcements as to who that is over the next few weeks and during the course itself. It's very exciting. So it'll be proved to be a very energetic course, very interactive, with sound theory, but a solid practical side to the course that you can take away practical skills with you, whether you're an expert or a legal representative. I've got my current positions there just for those that want to get a bit of a background of who I am. And then if we have a look at the way that the manual itself is divided, the course consists of 5 modules, and the manual is divided into 5 chapters. Each chapter corresponds with each of those modules. And you will see that as we go through the chapters, we start off from really the broadly theoretical, and we build more and more towards the practical. So the first chapter deals with general principles, and you'll see we will discuss things like what is expert evidence, developing a logical argument, what you should build into that evidence on an overall basis. So general principles across the board. Then we go to slightly more specific principles. You'll see that there are specific principles that come up when you're dealing with expert witness evidence, and there are certain principles that have been developed by the courts that it's very important to be on top of. So for instance, dealing with inferences from the established facts. Often people hear about inferences, they don't know quite what that means. This course will teach you exactly what that's all about. Dealing with assumptions. What are assumptions exactly? What's the difference between an assumption and a speculation? And there are 2 types of assumptions. And it's very helpful to know what those 2 types of assumptions are, and then you get a handle on how to work with those assumptions, and you can build your skills. There are things such as you'll see dealing with the views of professional bodies. How should the views of professional bodies be dealt with? Now, an important point to make at this stage is that all the work that we present throughout this manual and throughout this course is directly tied to High Court authority. These are not just my views. These are not just the views of any particular established professional in the field. These are the principles distilled from the High Court case law. In other words, these principles have the weight of authority of law. And it is in fact required of people who practice in this field to understand those principles. The challenge, though, is that those principles have not been available until now. We've put these principles together. The other side of the coin is that once you understand these principles, the courts have actually set out a very comprehensive guidance, structure, and system in order to set out for you what it is that you need to know to be able to practice effectively. As an expert, that is to provide persuasive expert reports. As a legal representative, that is to get the most out of expert witnesses and the most out of when you're dealing with the opposite side's expert witnesses. Then we move on to the expert report. So that will be in module 3 in week 3. The expert report is absolutely critical. It captures the thinking of the expert, and it then presents that thinking to a wide range of other participants. Most importantly, eventually, is the judge, but also the advocates, the attorneys, the other experts, all need to have access to that report. Now, the approach we take to providing information on expert reports is we do not take the approach that there's one size fits all, in other words, a prescriptive approach. And you should prepare your report in accordance with the structure that we set out. You can certainly follow our structure, and we think it would be a very good idea if you did, because it would give you a nice logical flow to your report. But in practice, experts have over time developed certain reports that work for them, certain structures to their reports that work for them. And they're tried and tested. That expert or the attorneys working with those experts trust that particular structure and layout of a report. So the approach that we actually take is that we look at the specific principles applying to all sorts of aspects of the expert report, which can then be incorporated and absorbed into the existing report structure. And I'm not going to go through them all. We will put these contents onto our website, but there's the overview, there's the style of the expert report. What about instructions to experts? There's some points the courts make, again to highlight that. The courts are making all these points. The timing of the expert report. What about timing of the report? And then we do set out a structure which we suggest, a suggested structure. For instance, what should the report heading have in it? Author's details, case details, date and signature, declaration, all sorts of aspects of the report, going down to the executive summary, dealing with issues in dispute, dealing with the facts. All of those aspects are dealt with in the third module. Then the fourth module turns to appearing in court, outlines the court process, deals with the trial preparation stage, and then gives some very important advice about actually giving evidence, being led, and cross-examination. And then the last module, we will then have a look at case studies. So we will take some key case studies. We will examine those case studies. We will look at how all of the principles that we've had a look at over the previous 4 modules have been dealt with in actual court cases by actual judges. And we take leading cases. So these are important expert witness cases. We have a look at those cases and we discuss them. This course promises to be a tremendously stimulating and rewarding. I'm really looking forward to presenting it. I hope you'll join us. We will disseminate this course widely, and we hope that this is going to be something which, and I'm sure, will be a tremendous learning experience and a tremendous experience in general. Very much looking forward to this. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you on the 31st of August 2025.